All right, everyone, in the back of my pickup truck is something brand new for 2020. It is, ta-da, the new Ryobi 40 volt lithium brushless lawnmower. And if you can see here, it's a new 7.5 amp battery and charger version. We're gonna take a look at it right now. So here's a box that comes in. It's actually a little bit heavier than I thought. I think it has a lot to do with that the steel deck. And the Ryobi rep was actually at the store, answered a few questions of mine. The main difference between this version and last year's version is indeed that steel deck. And then he said they also made some improvements with the motor and the battery, something to do with the battery consumption. So that they made some, I guess, technical improvements sort of under the hood. So why am I showing this advertisement for this Atlas commercial grade outdoor power from Harbor Freight? Well, it is the 80 volt brushless 21-inch self-propelled mower, 320. This caught my eye, right? Now here's the deal. This is probably the direct competitor to what I just bought. If I were to price this out with the tool, the battery, everything, and keep in mind there is a 20% off coupon, you just need a hunt for it. It's $416 total with everything, the entire package. Ryobi, this is the model number that is on the internet. My manual actually says differently, which is interesting, but it comes out to about $500, tool, battery, and charger combined. Very comparative in terms of what it's offering versus the price. The only reason I went with Ryobi is because I had some gift cards to burn. So anyway, keep in mind that there are other options out there. Okay, so I have everything out of the box. Of course, you get the mower, you get the bag attachment in case you don't want to mulch. It does come installed with the mulch, I guess you call it like a blocker or something like that. It comes pre-installed. You can always pull that out and then switch to bag mode. And then the battery, this is actually new to me. I do not have any other 40 volt products, but this is the actual battery pack. This thing's a monster. This, right, is sort of like the docking station. It's not like my old Ryobi here, right? This giant docking station. This just slides over here, and then this plug, this is the power plug, which uses this attachment, and then just a standard wall cord that goes to here. So let me plug it in here real quick. A couple things here first. We have the ride height adjustment, or the deck adjustment. There is a trigger here on the bottom, so you pull the trigger and you can raise and lower pretty easy, and you can do it with one hand pretty easy. There's about, what, 6 or so settings, go from 1 to 4 inches. Yeah, and it's sort of like kind of spring loaded, so it goes up pretty easy. So this is a nice little design. I like this. The other thing is the battery compartment. You can see here, this is the start key. It needs to be inserted, obviously, to start the mower. If I move this out of the way, there's spots for two compartments for 2 batteries, or a battery each. This is the only side, though, it looks like, that charges. This is just a storage compartment. So it's not, if you have 2 in here, it's not going to automatically switch over. You're going to have to obviously pull the lid, swap the batteries, and then restart the mower. But that's not a big deal, really. So here's another thing I really like. I didn't even test this out in the store, and I'm incredibly surprised. I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'4". I got long arms, but my Honda mower, I do feel like I'm kind of bending over a little bit, even at the highest setting. This, I just extended this fully out, and at the top setting, like the height, this thing is like pretty much belly button. Very comfortable. I can stand up straight. I can envision myself standing up straight as a tall guy without slumping over and mowing the yard. This is going to be very comfortable. I have a good feeling about this. So I just want to point out that if you are tall, this can fully extend very high, I think this is going to be very comfortable for you. Oh, and the other thing too is I have it at the highest setting, obviously. This right here will adjust this shaft going in and out, so you can unlock it and then push this in so you can get the exact height you want of this. And then you can relock it. And then this one down here will adjust sort of like the pitch, the height of the bars here. There's only 2 levels. I'll look on the other side here. I don't know if you can tell, but right now I have it on the top, and then here's the other hole for the bottom. So if you wanted this whole extension here a little bit lower, you would just move both sides to the bottom hole. So it's pretty flexible. I think both, from what I can tell, any height person is going to be fine with this. So I went ahead and I collapsed it back down again. These same adjustments from earlier about where I was talking about the pitch or the height of the arms here, these also lock in on this side, so that when you put the handles down, this is fully locked in. And I think there's pictures showing this thing hanging, right? So you'd want to lock these first, and then you'd be able to lift this up. Now, keep in mind, I'm a pretty big guy, but this steel deck, this adds considerable weight to this. This is not something you're going to be picking up and hanging on the wall, I don't think, unless you're a bodybuilder and you enjoy that type of stuff. Yeah, I think I'm just going to be leaving this in the shed on the ground, tucked away in a corner or something like that, because I'm not going to be lifting this thing up and down off of a wall. The other models, the plastic ones, the all plastics, my buddy has one. It's light. I mean, you can push that thing around with one hand, no problem. And they're pretty light when you're picking it up. That is something you could hang on the wall. I don't think you're going to be hanging this on the wall. So just kind of keep it in mind. This is probably going to be staying on the ground in storage. All right, and just the quick underbody here of the deck. You can see this is the blade that's pre-installed. The gauge of this blade, it seems a little bit thinner than the one that's on my Honda. Not quite sure what's up with that. Also, I noticed it's a single blade. I know they make some other blades that are double blades, I believe. I think the one on my Honda actually is 2 blades that overlap. So maybe, I mean, I'm assuming, you know, they built this for mulching. So I'm assuming that this single blade should be okay. But, and I at this time, I do not know replacement blades or if it's compatible with anything else. I do know that there's some cutouts here. This plastic actually goes through this blade and sort of seats. So I don't think you can just stick any blade on here. I think it has to be a specific blade, maybe Ryobi makes, or a third party that has these special cutouts here. So anyway, I just want to show you the underbody. Again, this is obviously all steel. The only thing that would be plastic is this back guard here. That's the only thing that there's any plastic, but the rest of this is all steel inside. Well, this is plastic as well. This bushing or whatever this is that the blade locks into the bottom of the motor. Hey, one thing I want to point out while I'm waiting for this to charge, this battery pack plugs in here. This thing gets really hot. I'm gonna go ahead and measure it right now. So we're running anywhere between like 136, and a few minutes ago I did hit 140. It gets pretty hot, real hot, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Okay, we're gonna take it for a quick spin just to show you what happened here. This battery took about 4.5 hours to charge to full power, roughly, from when I pulled it out of the box. And then this orange tab here, you can pull this in and out. Basically, it's a key. This is obviously the lawnmower will not work unless this is inserted. So the battery's inserted, key's inserted. My second bay is empty. I do not have a second battery, but this would be another storage location. So with that said, we're going to fire it up. Also, before I go outside, I want to mention that it is a little bit windy, so there will probably be some microphone ruffling going on. I'm not in the mood for waiting any longer, so this is how you start it though. You pull the arm bar down, hit the button, it fires up. This right here adjusts the speed of the self-propelling, right? So min or max, and it's a sliding button. It's not clicky or anything. It just slides back and forth. It's a graduated scale. When you release everything stops. One thing I will say is that if you put this down and pull the self-propelled handles, it does move. It does move without the blades turning on. So that's a nice feature. Also, one thing to point out, I'm not sure if it'll catch on the microphone, but when I fire this up and I start going and I pull on the self-propelled handle here, you can pull on either side, by the way, there is a whine. I feel like it's almost like turbo spooling up or something. But anyway, it is going to be a little bit windy outside, but regardless, we'll try to do a couple tests. So as you can hear, the whine actually only exists when you have it on max level. So that's not really a big deal. What I did notice is it's pulling a little bit to the right. So I actually have it lined up here pretty good in my garage. You can see this back flap. I mean, let's try to align it pretty good. And if I just give it a push, it kind of veers to the right a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, quality control. I think that's kind of odd that it veers that far to the right. I mean, just looking at it from here, you can kind of see it's moved quite a bit. So yeah, overall, I like it, and we're going to go into some more final thoughts here in a second. All right, so let's recap the first look here of the new Ryobi self-propelled 40 volt for 2020, sponsored by Perlenbacher. I'm joking on the sponsor. I got it from Lidl. It was cheap and it actually tastes pretty good. All right, so let's put the Perlenbacher aside for the moment, talk about the pros and cons. Speaking of the cons first, really the only first two, I know there's 8 here listed, but the only first two that are any concern to me, at least, is the fact that the wall charger gets really hot. We're looking at 140 degrees, and it doesn't matter where I plug it in. It could be direct into a wall plug, through an extension cord, it doesn't matter. It's always around 135 to 40. Mower is veering to the right out of the box. Concerning. Quality control, not sure. Need to keep checking on that. 3 through 8, you can pause the screen to take a look at it. None of these would deter me from actually buying the product, but just something I noticed. In terms of pros, right? So no oil and gas. This is something that I wanted from an electric mower. I didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. Height adjustment's fantastic. As a tall 6'4" person, loving this. Number 2. Steel deck is a pro and con to a certain degree, right? It adds durability. It prevents rocks from cutting into the plastic. But at the same time, it is a little bit heavy. So with that said, first look, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. If they can fix these first 2 at the top here, we're looking at 5 out of 5. So thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed this video.